and that's what we're going to be talking about today with Philippe Vigneau. He is the head of business development at Transitel. And what we're going to be talking about today is why are car manufacturers moving to become telecom players in order to provide car connectivity services. It's a pretty interesting transition within the industry, and wanted to get one of the emerging leaders within that industry to give us some insight. So Philippe, how are you doing today?
Very well, Daniel.
Very well. Love it. So you're from France, right?
I am from France, yeah, as my accent says.
No, I love it. So I'm guessing that flight was pretty long coming into Vegas?
It was, yeah, through Atlanta, actually.
Oh, through Atlanta. Okay, so you had a double stop.
Yeah.
But since you've been here, I guess, remind me, is this your first time at CES, or have you been here before?
No, we've been here for the last 3 years,
Great.
I believe, yeah. But this year we have a proper stand in North Hall, and we're, of course, exposing all our services to the automotive industry.
Wonderful.
Globally to the OEMs, basically.
Yeah.
Because we're not only providing cellular connectivity for the car industry, but also for the laptop and tablet manufacturers and all the IoT and IoV industry, basically.
Definitely. So tell me a bit about your experience so far here at CES. What has this third year been like for y'all?
Well, it's been thrilling and quite exciting. There's been quite a lot. I mean, the whole industry is getting into a whole revolution when it comes to car connectivity, and cars are becoming more and more, as I happy to say, laptops on wheels.
Which is a great visual.
Exactly.
Now I'm imagining a literal laptop on wheels.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Exactly.
Maybe one day.
And as laptops are, you need, I mean, there's several services attached to it, and cars are connected for basically 3 reasons. The first one being, of course, the telematic around the car, so all those sensors getting in, you need to retrieve those data and getting it into the cloud and do the data crunching to make sure that there is a predictive maintenance program attached to it. That's the first bit. The second bit is that the one that the customer sees is all the infotainment platform that needs data and cellular connectivity for that through services such as internet radio. You might want to have access to Spotify on the go, and of course Wi-Fi on board, which is becoming more and more popular. So that's the second part.
Yeah.
And the third, which is by far the biggest in terms of cellular connectivity need, is of course updating the software and the firmware of the car on the go. So in the future you'll have to update your car like every single month.
Yeah.
So as you do for your
cell phone, right? Yeah. Interesting.
Or for your laptop, same thing.
So it prevents a lot, it introduces a lot of new benefits, but it also does change up then how you have to maintain your car. I mean, now you not only have to take it in for service, but you're going to be making sure it's updated too. You know, it's interesting.
It will of course update automatically.
Of course, yeah.
But when it comes to bringing cellular into your car, so either you will buy a package of data together with your car, and it will come together with the car, or you will have to top up your car as you top up your phone, your prepaid phone, basically.
Yeah.
So you might want to have a regular package of a reasonable amount of data during the year, but when you go on holiday with your kids on the rear seats watching Netflix, for instance, you might want to have a larger package of data for them to travel, basically.
Right.
So and this is becoming a reality right now. We are servicing brands such as Jaguar Land Rover in Europe already with these kinds of service. And as the new EV are coming into the market, of course, more and more of those services will be available. So we're just at the beginning of this revolution. But it will be more and more common to have this kind of service in our cars.
Which is exciting, for sure.
It is.
So I'm interested, I know Transitel, obviously you mentioned it, doesn't just do technology or connected technology services for cars. You have other services as well.
Yes.
I want to know, what kind of in an industry perspective, why did Transitel and other companies that are looking to provide these services look to cars as this might be the next big market for us to develop solutions for? What drew the transportation industry to really become part of this conversation?
Well, first of all, we are not a startup anymore.
Of course.
We've been there for the past 18 years.
Which is great. Yeah, you're leading the change.
Exactly. And our historic is that we were an MVNO enabler for the past 18 years. So launching mobile virtual network operator around the planet for the past 18 years. We've launched close to 150 different operations around the world, mainly in Europe, but also elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, it was a natural trend to see OEMs globally try to leverage on their devices to bring services to it, and as they want to have a new revenue stream, become basically mobile operators themselves, mobile virtual network operators,
right?
Data only. But at the end of the day, selling data as a mobile operator would do, basically. And this is exactly happening in the car industry, but it will be also happening in the laptop and tablet industry as the always connected PC is going to become a reality it's already a reality for some brands,
right.
But it's going to become a reality for all the laptop, tablets, and the tablet brands also.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So this whole transition for car manufacturers to really not only just be car manufacturers, but telecom players too. I mean, they're wanting to become industry leaders. Which manufacturers are you seeing want to lead this change, and how are you seeing them actually implement that into their offerings? You know, like it sounds like a very structural change to their business and to their company as a whole, which must shake things up, but you know, they're obviously wanting to do it, and it's an exciting change. So how have you seen those car manufacturers evolve to become telecom players?
Yeah. So it starts with the need of the telematic, as I was saying earlier, and of course retrieve data from the car to make sure it works properly. But moving along, of course, as I was saying, the infotainment inside the car is the key element to bring this connectivity to the car and bring new service as well. So when it comes to telematic, you have other services attached to it, such as insurance services, and the car needs to be connected to provide this kind of service. So they will monetize more and more services such as insurance or others through the connectivity of the car, because they would need to track how you use your car,
right?
How you drive your car, of course, and how often you use it to make sure that the insurance plan you have actually fits to your need. The model, they are all trying to find the right business model, and it's certainly an area where we will see in the future new development and new brilliant idea, I'm sure. But this is coming up, and of course, services such as streaming, radio, etc., are going to be monetized within the car, as well as video, of course, as 5G will come along.
Right. So I think part of this conversation, too, is that as car manufacturers become telecom players, they now have to add more regulations, and they have to at least be aware of the regulations that come with being within telecom, with providing those kind of services. So how have you seen those companies evolve to make sure they're staying ahead of the curve and they're not falling behind on those regulations? And also explain to our audience what some of those regulations are.
So it's basically the regulation of mobile virtual network operator, and depending on the country, because we are active in more than 140 countries with this kind of service, the car manufacturer needs to comply with the local regulation, telecom regulation. So if, of course, the mobile virtual network operator legislation or regulation is allowed in a specific country, such as in the US, then it's not a problem for them to provide this kind of service as a usual mobile virtual network operator. You have quite a few already in the US that are very, very popular. But you need to comply with the telecom regulation as any other service provider, basically. Now, some car manufacturer would like to do that, or some other would like us to do that on their behalf.
Right.
And that's why we have also launched a generic brand called UBG. And this generic brand is meant to be used by car manufacturer who actually doesn't want to have a direct relationship when it comes to telecom with their end user, with the driver.
They just want the tech.
Exactly. And in that case, we will handle this for them. And in that case, we will provide the driver with an app in order to top up their car with Wi-Fi access or mobile access, and it will ease the way an OEM can get into this environment. And well, it can be just the first step for them, easing the way to get in touch with their customer on the long run and become themselves a true virtual network operator.
Yeah. Have you seen it be difficult for car manufacturers that do want their own in-house telecom services? Have you found it difficult for them to adapt to making sure that they are in line with those regulations? And if it is, how do they educate themselves? What is that process for actually staying ahead of the curve?
Well, as I was saying, we are at the beginning of a revolution. And a revolution
industry-wide.
Yeah, is always difficult, of course. And car manufacturers are not all of them really organized at the moment to become a mobile operator,
to become a telecom player,
or even a service provider, basically. Some of them are doing their revolution. It's taking time. It's going to take a few more years, I guess, but they are shifting from a usual industrial player to, well, software manufacturer, software developers and service provider. And they are developing now more and more software development center or other service, basically. So this revolution is taking time, and as it is a traditional industry, it goes rather slowly compared to the high-tech environment. But they're hiring a lot of engineers, of high-tech engineers at the moment, which was not really the habit for the past 50 years, I would say.
Right.
So that's very exciting because it's very new for everybody. It's of course very challenging for them. There will be ups and downs, but maybe there will be also new players coming up.
Right.
Because this will leave the door open to what's called the new EVs, new electric vehicles, of course. And it will be also challenging for them, but that's an exciting environment.
Definitely. So I think to wrap things up, it'd be good to chat about one or two of the car manufacturers that are doing it right, the ones that are staying ahead of the regulations, they're providing quality service, and it could be a point of education for other car manufacturers. Hey, look to these companies. They are leading the way in becoming telecom players within the transportation industry. So I know Jaguar and Land
Rover is definitely doing this, and they are quite on the edge of launching new services in Europe mainly, but also in the US coming up. Of course, in the US, you have the first player of them being Tesla, of course.
Right.
I mean, Tesla was the first to bring this kind of service on the market, which it's a large screen that needs to be connected, of course. And Tesla has a 1 gig update every month in terms of firmware or software update. So it definitely needs to be connected, of course.
Right.
But new players such as Byton that we have seen here on the show will be, of course, fully connected with a lot of service going on. At the end of the day, when you have such a brilliant screen as the Byton car, I don't know whether you've seen that car, it's really impressive. But without connectivity, it's not much.
Right.
So definitely those brands are being challenges, but good challenges, and are moving the market towards very exciting services.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I think what's most exciting for me to see is I think a lot of these offerings are still in more luxury level car brands, but
Byton is going to be 40,000.
Oh, okay, true.
So it's not that
more accessible.
And
so that's I guess they are a new player. So I'm excited to see how this technology ends up becoming that standard, where you're getting it in your Honda, your Toyota, you're getting it in basically any car. It's now standard for it to be connected. It feels like it's right around the corner. It's not that far away.
No, and I mean in this year and the year to come, I don't see any brands that won't be connected or won't have a slice of connectivity inside it, whether it's going to be telematic or infotainment or whatever. I mean, all brands out there on their new model have connectivity, and I'm talking about this year.
Yeah.
So it's becoming a must-have.
Right. I mean, it's not the future; it's the now, basically.
It's not. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, new services will come in the future. Together with 5G, especially as the car will connect together with the V2X technology.
Yeah.
But this is going to be there in a couple of years' time, or 3-4 years' time. But as we go towards the V2X, car connectivity is already a reality in 2019.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting to see it happen in real time, and I'm looking forward to seeing what, once 2019 reaches its completion, which car manufacturers are on board with this new idea of being a telecom player within the whole industry. So, Philippe, I'd really like to thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Again, for our listeners, Philippe Vigneau is the head of business development for Transitel, and if you want to learn a little bit more about their offerings, you can go to www.transitel.com to learn more about how the transportation industry is evolving to become more connected and, basically making its way into what we're standardizing now as the 21st century. So,
or visit us at North Hall if you are.
Yes, exactly. If you're at CES, you definitely got to go check out their booth in person. Philippe, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.